Hey now, party people. Welcome to the Honest Trailer commentaries for Eternal. Is it the Eternals or Eternals? I still
They
get
are
it mixed
just
up.
Eternals.
Just Eternals.
Yeah.
This will be a fun one, I guess. We're going to talk about our thoughts, behind the scenes thoughts on the Honest Trailer, show you some cut jokes and stuff like that, deleted scenes. Then we get to talk to you, the audience. So keep those questions and comments coming in the chat, and we will respond to them at the end of the show before teasing you with next week's Honest Trailer. That's going to be a grunty one. Eternals. I'm trying to remember Eternals because there was a lot of movie there. We were also challenging each other to remember
distinct.
all 10 Eternals before we started filming. And Lon says he can do it. I think so. Danielle and I would struggle.
I think it's happy, bashful. Oh wait, no, I already missed that.
A film that look, I respect the effort. I like that they tried something different, and it definitely was different than the usual Marvel stuff we get. Not really my cup of tea. I thought it was anytime something opens with a big crawl of proper nouns and definitions of terms, I'm like,
Wait a minute, how did Palpatine return again, Eternals? I don't understand this at all.
But it was different from that. It'd be like if it was like Wikipedia, if it was no disrespect to our parent company Fandom, we love you, but if it was like midichlorians are the things that make the Jedis work. The Jedi are an order of monks. The Sith are this. And like it was a lot of terms that wasn't the most cinematic way to start. But I thought there was cool imagery. I thought the fight scenes were actually pretty well done. And there were some pops of character that I like, but man, pacing wise, I feel like this movie felt all of its 2.5+ hours. And it was kind of a lot of hurry up and then a lot of wait and then a lot of hurry. It was just unevenly paced for me. But what did you guys think overall about the Eternals or Eternals?
Eternals. Thank you, Lon. Yeah, like it's, I agree with most of what you're saying. It's too much movie for, you've got to introduce all of these people. You've got to introduce this huge new concept of there being the Celestials, and you have to stop a deviant to eat a planet. I watched it a bunch of times because we do that for the trailers, and I'm still kind of like, I think I got what the plot with this was. But mostly it reminded me a lot of Cats in that way, where it was like, oh, it's a new Eternal. Oh, cool. What is this? What is this Eternal song going to be about?
We should have done the whole trailer like that, where they come in and do cat-style songs introducing themselves.
They really should have.
Mr. Kingo, the movie star. What a shame. Next time.
But yeah, so it again, I just think it's very pretty. It's super gorgeous. It looks amazing. But I was definitely finding myself getting lost not in a way where it's like I don't get it, but in a way where I was struggling to see the importance or urgency in anything that was happening until like the very end.
Yeah, wow. I mean, when the stakes it's such an abstract thing at stake. I know it's like it's almost too big to really connect with, because it's the fate of all of humanity versus the fate of theoretical unborn planetary races of beings, and it's like you got to bring it down to a level that like I can connect with, because it's like literally, I mean, this is kind of the criticism that people either love or hate about DC, is they're so godlike and removed from your everyday human cares and tribulations. It's like, this is not like Spider-Man, where he's saving the world at one point and then he's got to go to school, he's got to kiss Mary Jane, stuff like that. Like we were missing that side of the equation, which is what we're just used to with Marvel, which is I guess why people didn't like this one as much. What do you think, Lon?
Yeah, I like this a lot, actually, and I like the different. Like I agree with what you're saying, that it doesn't feel like the other MCU movies. It doesn't follow the formula as closely. And there have been other ones I liked recently. Like I like Shang-Chi a lot, and that follows the formula pretty closely. And this one is a real purposeful, in some ways, I felt like, break from that. It really does set up a different part of the world, and then it's kind of this morality, like it centers on this moral conundrum, this sort of trolley problem kind of variation that they're trapped in. And I thought that was an interesting way to play it out. Like, I'm glad not every Marvel movie is like this, because I agree that would be a bit much. It would start to feel like irrelevant and disconnected from like our daily kind of like what we like about superhero movies, maybe. But here's a different way of approaching these Marvel movies. Here's a new crop of characters, and here's like a genuinely tough question. And I really admired how the movie doesn't do the usual thing. And this is not just Marvel. It doesn't give you an easy way out. Like normally, we've talked about this in other Marvel stuff before, where the bad guy makes a lot of sense. Like you'll get a Killmonger and you're like, I agree with the bad guy, but then they'll do one horrible thing to be like, they're evil. We can't let them win. They're going to kill that van full of civilians, or he's going to start a bunch of wars. And it like forces your hand, like, okay, he's the bad guy now. And this never gives you an out. The bad guys or the people who join the opposing antagonistic team, they're making a lot of good points. And then you get Kingo as well, who's sort of like, I'm not going to join the heroes or the antagonists. I'm going to leave before the climax even happens. And I thought that was, after 20 plus Marvel movies, I thought that was really interesting.
It was refreshing to have a completely passive hero.
Yeah,
like, well, you see, let's just see how it shakes out.
I mean, after several dozen of these, like, I'm ready for people to just make like weird decisions and try something different. And like, let's take a different look at these kinds of stories now that we've been told them so many times, and we're really starting to explore their kind of nuances. The one thing I think didn't work, you had highlighted the action scenes. I felt like I loved Chloe Zhao's decision to shoot on natural locations, and it really does also help set the movie aesthetically apart from the other Marvel movies. But I felt like it kind of clashes with the like weird rope dog monsters and light laser battles, like all that stuff. I think it looks worse because it's not in a green screen room. In
I mean, the
Burbank.
design
like
of the deviants is. It's not going to be in the hall of good Marvel villains.
No,
I think that they're probably...
I had used rope dogs. I think you came with bundled up cables and wires, which is also very apt.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I might have liked this film more if they set it entirely in past historical eras. I think that might have been more interesting, even though that puts it in prequel territory. But you avoid the whole like, why didn't they, if they're here to increase the human population, why didn't they stop Thanos? Like, really? They didn't make an exception for that? And like, if they kind of embrace that, okay, these characters are the roots of humanity's like creation myths and like great leaps forward in technological development, and like never got to the point where they're like, I don't know, going to a bar and like Sprite's trying to pick up dudes and like walking around London. And everybody's just shrugging their shoulders at the emergence of a rope dog. But I guess in the MCU, rope dogs or something just that weird happens every month.
I didn't think that became a big deal until the very end. Like the rope dogs, you'd be like, all right, it's like Thor stuff, whatever. We've seen that before. But the very end, and spoiler alert, like the head of a massive planet-sized god appears over London and just like, you, and like snatches a lady up. And people are like, you know, they're a little freaked.
Like, oh, whoa, hey.
They're freaked out in the way, like if there was just like a hurricane warning, you'd be like, oh, we should get out of here. But not like a god just appeared freaked out. Like that would be another level of freak.
I mean, that you would like fall to your knees and like scream and
no,
weep, like
rending of garments and gnashing of teeth and like
just like running and looting and like nothing matters. God is here and doesn't care.
It's literally a god and like I'm here. Like it's the end. It's the end times for sure.
That's what would do it. I feel like that would do it for me, sanity wise.
It's pretty rapture-y. It's pretty rapture-y.
If a six-eyed red,
you come back like 10 seconds later, and everybody's like almost calmed down. There's like a car alarm going off in the distance. Like, God was just here.
Hey, sorry, I'm late to work. Godhead, you know how that is.
Well, you know, I just missed 5 years of my life. It literally in a void, and then came back and found like they take it all in stride at this point.
They really do take it all in stride. Kid Harington in the beginning too has a like. He just found out his girlfriend is like a god and is fighting monsters, and he's like, so, but you used to date that guy? Like he's really more hung up on the relationship stuff.
Yeah, just another day in the life in the MCU. All right, let's watch the honest trailer, see what else we picked out.
Marvel has taken you out to the edge of the universe, down to the scale of an atom, and across the boundaries of time. Now, prepare to visit a new setting beyond the farthest reaches of a nerd's imagination. Outside. I'm scared. Can we go back to a green screen, please? Ah, that's better. Eternals. Witness the MCU's grandest experiment yet about mythic creatures who steer the course of human history. From the director of that quasi-documentary about a van lady who poops in a bucket.
Good movie. You may have heard of it. Also, The Rider. Great film.
As Chloe Zhao brings Jack Kirby's most psychedelic art to the screen in soothing grays and beiges, in this long meditation on whether our hero should let humanity die or spit in the face of an uncaring god. Hey, are we sure this isn't a DC movie?
That's Superman! Dad, that's Superman!
Remember when comic book films were...
How, I guess we could talk about this later, but like, do you think that this is something like an Ant-Man movie or whatever, where Marvel's like, you know, they're hoping that it's a success, but they're not like banking on the future phases and installments really building off of it? Or do you think this was supposed to be like the linchpin of this new MCU phase, and they're like, uh-oh, we kind of screwed the pooch here? Or do you think this can, because it kind of felt like a one-off movie. You really didn't need to know anything about Marvel to enjoy it, but will we need to remember Fastos going forward?
I don't think
won't.
so.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear the main MCU storyline is multiverse everything right now, and this is more sort of like I think this is more like like an Ant-Man or a Guardians. Like, let's see if we can get people interested in this property that does not have a huge iconic sort of background for most people. And I mean, I think there are obviously things they're planning on. Like,
obviously we're going to get Harry Styles.
They obviously want that stuff. And then Black Knight, I think it's pretty clear they want Kit Harington's guy to become his own thing, and they're teasing, him going to team up with Blade at some point. But yeah, I don't think this is like the hub of Phase 4 in the way that like Doctor Strange or Spider-Man.
It's just annoying because now we're going to have where are the Avengers questions, but it'll be like, where are the Eternals? Where's Fastos?
I don't know. I honestly don't know if we're gonna get a lot of where's Fastos. Little skeptical.
I say Fastos that isn't on screen. Other characters should be asking, "Where's Fastos?
Where's Druig?" Like, I don't, and I say that as the guy who liked this the most, but I still don't.
All right, let's keep going.
Remember when comic book films were about characters you've heard of? Neither do I. Now, after a TLDR opening crawl, meet the Eternals. 10 heroes as hot as they are sad. Thrill at the revelation that they're actually robots designed by an alien god to fight creatures who look like your unsorted cable drawer, who themselves were designed to eat the dinosaurs until things got out of hand. You know what? Just forget it. It's dumb. Just meet the Eternals.
So pause. No, we're gonna work through this. So the Celestials, they're effing planets and making babies, right? And the way they do
they make stars which allow for life to blossom throughout the universe.
Okay.
But in order to make a star, you need a celestial, and the only way to make a celestial is using a whole populated world as an egg.
As an egg, yeah. But they create the deviants to eat the tigers or whatever that are eating the
this
people.
Is where it gets a little hinky. But yes, apparently as worlds populate under these powerful suns that they're creating, they're, native hostile predatory species arise, but that aren't the intelligent species they need to incubate them. Yeah. It's a little bit like the Matrix, like the machines in the Matrix need humans as batteries. And it's sort of like that.
So with the deviants, they did it biologically and they evolved, and that was their mistake. So now they need to make like the Roomba, like cleanup vacuums, and you can like rinse and repeat with their wipe their memories and have them do it over
their
and over
memories again. And then restart.
Which seems like a little bit Rube Goldberg-y when you're a six-eyed mega god. You could just be like, I'm going to kill all the tigers or deviants. Bam.
Here's I got a few. I do have a few core questions. One is, if we presume that Celestials are themselves eternal, why do they need to make more of them? Like there are Celestials. Like, you need to keep making more Celestial. Why? Like, just make a star and then move on to the next star. What are you doing?
I mean, there's like enough people. Like, it must feel good to
why do we don't need to MLM that. You don't need a downline if you're a Celestial.
They need to sell them on leggings.
Yeah, the LuLaRoe. Yep.
Yeah, you're moving up the pyramid, or you're Celestial already. My other question is, if a Celestial can make something as intricate as the Eternals, like robots that don't know they're robots, that have all this artificial intelligence and superpowers, and they look like Gemma Chan and like everything, how can they can't just make like a star or like another Celestial? Like those seem easier. Like just like how hard is it to make any of this stuff? I don't understand why they would need a whole planet to make a new Celestial.
Yeah, and their whole like non-interference thing, if it really is to just increase the population, just have Druig, create a planet-wide orgy. 9 months later, you're in Eggtown.
You're in Eggtown, baby. Yeah, it just seems like a really ineffective system where you gotta wait like millennia, and you gotta like incubate them inside these planets. You gotta kill billions of beings. It's like so much bother every time.
Eternals 2 should be them hiring a outside Celestial management consultant, like the Mitt Romney of Celestials, like Bain Capital comes into like
supply chain Celestial problems at this point.
Yeah, and I don't understand why we need more Celestials. Like I don't know, like is this like adoption? Like I don't understand.
Yeah, where did the first Celestial come from? Also, you're a real chicken egg problem.
It's on the back of a turtle on top of another Celestial.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep watching.
Hi. There's Thena, a warrior who freaks out when she remembers she's Angelina Jolie and shouldn't be sharing screen time with these nobodies. Gilgamesh, who's never met a problem he couldn't fist. Fastos, who does all his science by way of Naruto hand signs. Druig, he sucks.
Druig sucks.
Ajak, keeper of the sacred iPhone Gold Orb Edition that lets her call Daddy.
Ajak.
Makari, who should have been called Fastos, because holy crap, how are we supposed to keep all these characters straight? Sprite, a pixie with the power of being small and having a knife.
Yeah, pause. The power distribution all over the place with the Eternals. I feel like to make it's kind of Justice League, but exaggerated, where you have the one person who can kill the deviants with his laser eyes and flight and super strength. He got like 5 powers.
He got the full Superman,
You get the full Superman, and the rest of them are like, you are a great storyteller.
Gilgamesh, really, it's like I got like a goal, like I'm the Iron Fist, like that doesn't. The rest of these are like God powers, and he's like, you can punch hard.
You can punch hard.
Thena got kind of screwed too, because she just has like those blades. Like she's just lady.
She's just Blady, but she's mad weary, yo. She's got that was what is that a thing? Mad weary?
Yeah, that's from I looked it up. That's from the comics.
That's a wild thing to just drop on us like that.
I assumed it was like MADWEARY, like they're mad weary, yo. But no, it's not. It's like a whole crazy like magic spelling, fantasy spelling, like Madweary.
Madweary.
Yeah, it looks Tolkien-y in the comics.
Yeah, they just threw a lot at us in this film, and maybe if they had spaced it out in like episodes or part 1, part 2, or it's like an opposite Avengers where they each one got their own film and then they reunited them, so it was all a big deal. But when you're throwing out Mad Weary, Celestial, Deviant, all these things happening at once, I don't know.
I kind of like that. It's like it's crazy and trippy and weird. It does feel like a Jack Kirby comic in that way.
Yeah.
Could have used about 5 less Eternals.
5 less Eternals and 1 more edible for me. I think that would have probably gotten me through.
It feels like it just sometimes feels like I don't know if it's the case, because a lot of people were like, oh, it should have been like a mini series, or we get more time with all the Eternals. It does feel like some of their stories just we don't get enough of them. Like they set up, Kingo as this Bollywood star, but we see like a third of one day. Like there's almost no using it in the movie, and like that's the kind of stuff that I feel like it just makes me want to see more. But I get it as kind of a knock of this movie. It does feel like some of our understanding of who these characters are is a little incomplete.
Yeah. All right. Save it for Eternals 2. Let's keep watching.
I'm sorry, Cersei.
Kingo, a Bollywood star who makes you wonder if all the time Kumail spent getting jacked should have gone to dance lessons instead.
Okay, we pause. We got to talk about Kingo.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, poor Kumail, not poor Kumail. I mean, look at him; he's doing great.
Great.
But So he, by his own accord, like he's like, I'm gonna get jacked for this film. Like no one, right? The interview, no one asked him to get super jacked. Like most of all the Eternals, like they don't look like they're the most in shape crew. They don't all look like, like they all took the super soldier serum. So he didn't have to do that for this role. But but Chloe Zhao apparently like tricked him into saying that he was going to have a big action scene. And she's like, I've changed it to a big dance scene.
But that's what I wanted. I wanted a big dance scene. It sort of feels like they don't fully go for it. I couldn't tell if it was like Kumail just didn't want to learn all of the dance moves. He's doing a lot of like chest up stuff. Yeah. He's got the shoulders and the facial expressions he's nailing. But given like really
the bodily transformation and then what we ended up seeing, which was like the waist up dance scene, it does seem like she was like, okay, like we're going to introduce you in a big Bollywood action scene, and then they introduce him in a kind of tepid Bollywood dance
and then
number.
You're gonna sit out the climax.
No
fighting for you. Yeah,
I'm not fighting.
You're going.
He pulled a full Wong, just like this is up to y'all.
Leave me out of it.
Yeah, that was I don't know. It's
They should have just had Wong open a portal, like, you come with me. We're not involved in this part.
Yeah, we're not doing this.
It's third act stuff. We don't worry about it.
It's the Skadoots crew. that's the Marvel movie I want to see. I just want to see a bunch of people who are like, I'm peacing out. This isn't for me. Let me know when you finish it.
Yeah, it's like it's Luis from the Ant-Man films. It's Wong. Yeah.
And Kingo.
And Kingo.
Yeah, I'd watch that.
Just like, listen, you let us know how it goes. You deal with this.
Yeah, I feel like I would be like my shirt would be off in every scene if I looked like that, or if I trained that hard to be in this movie and then like had to just stay clothed. I would be pissed. I don't know what happened there.
The Eternals do wear the most clothes of like all of the Marvel. They're all wearing like
they're dressed like Power Rangers.
Yeah. They wear the most.
Ridiculous. All right.
Well, they're the only ones they don't have to rely on, like Tony Stark inventing them something new. They just stand up against the wall and it appears. So convenience is a lot higher than other Marvel.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, keep going.
Icarus, who's like Superman if he had to be convinced that human life had any value. So like, Zack Snyder Superman. And Cersei, whose warm, dignified performance is impossible to focus on because someone thought it wouldn't be distracting to pair a Cersei with two of the leads from Game of Thrones.
You are very beautiful, Cersei.
I love you, Cersei.
No, you love Daenerys. Or maybe Marjorie Tyrell. I'm still hashing out my erotic fanfic.
I don't want it. I never have.
Oh, yes, you do. Now kiss. Strap in for a movie that's all...
I mean, I thought Cersei was good. She was a good character, but that took me out of it every single time. One of those two dudes is like, Cersei, I love you, Cersei. That's not like an Easter egg. That's like an omelet, a Denver omelet in your face. If you ever saw Game of Thrones, that was insane. It's like having like a character like named Mickey choosing between like Donald and Pluto. Like it's just incredibly distracting
and very hot.
It just made me feel like, you know what? Every Eternal should have just been a Game of Thrones character. Like, why are we even messing around at this point? Just like Sprite, Arya Stark now. Just like fill the roster.
Yeah, that seemed like a wild choice to make. Like, how could you? Do they think that was just like a winking nod? Like, this is just.
I mean, I honestly doubt it was purposeful at all. It's Cersei's from the comics. They wanted these guys like. How many British actors of the age appropriate range? Like half of them were probably in Game of Thrones that they considered for those roles.
I don't know.
Game of Thrones or Doctor Strange. And we only make 5 movies a year. So eventually this is going to keep happening,
Yeah, it's like we're
There's also Doctor Who. One of those guys could have easily been a doctor.
Or a companion.
Or whatever. All right, keep going.
In for a movie that's all about tracking down characters you just met a few minutes ago.
We need to find the others. We need to go find the others.
We have to bring everyone back together.
And since no one thought to set up a group text, take a whirlwind tour of all their solo projects, whether they're just chilling on a Marvel-issued retirement farm, WandaVisioning before it was cool.
Druid sucks.
He does, sir.
nuking Japan?
I did this.
Or they just got left back on the spaceship like a baby in a hot car. But once these neutral Avengers have reassembled, they'll discover their secret mission to literally f the world, as they learn their true purpose was to fertilize Earth with enough man matter to hatch a Celestial. Sorry for phrasing it that way. I'm just unsatisfied after Marvel's first sex scene, i.e. 3 dimly lit pumps in the missionary position. Can you believe that's all we get? Look what Kingo did.
I mean, I'm respect to them for actually pumping, you know? On-screen pumps.
There are 3 actual on-screen pumps.
I was pretty shocked by that. I don't know, overall thoughts and feelings. Did it feel, I mean, is it ever necessary, but did it feel earned or enjoyable? Or, you know, I think it was pretty I'll start. I think it was kind of cold and like dispassionate and not hot. But I think that in retrospect is it's like a portent of their relationship, that actually they aren't on the same page and they do have this disconnect between the two of them, that they aren't like going at each other like crazy, that they actually are on kind of different sides of this moral equation. So maybe it was a purposefully bland sex scene that they aren't like simpatico like that.
They have negative chemistry. Like every time, I'm sorry, Cersei and Icarus, I know it's supposed to be like this epic love story, and every time it's just like, it feels like someone took 2 like action figures and just pressed them together, you know? Like it definitely felt like, okay, well, I'm gonna take these 2 Barbies and now they're gonna make out. But like it didn't, I never felt like, oh yeah, this is a love for the ages. It was always like, oh, I guess you guys used to bang or whatever, but...
Yeah, I agree. They kind of undercut their relationship by showing her first with Dane Whitman, and so we're on their side. Like we're rooting for Dane and Cersei to get back together, and so when we're introduced to, you know, Robb Stark, it's like, wait, who's this guy? So I think that kind of messes up the. I agree they don't have a ton of chemistry on screen either, but I did like the scene just because I thought that there was a lot of this movie that it really did try to feel aesthetically and tonally different from the other Marvel movies, and that really did. Like that whole sequence feels nothing like anything you've seen in a Marvel movie before. It really sets this apart and makes this feel different and like its own thing, and I enjoyed it on that level for sure.
Yeah, there were some other romances that kind of caught me off guard, or like, was it a romance, like with Makari and Druig? Like, what's going on there?
Like that was more like a crush. Like I don't think that was like a romance, but it was like they've got
a little flirty. You know, you have your when you're younger, you have like your work flirt. You know, when you're like young and single, like you've got the person that you flirt with at work, but like you know nothing's going to come of it.
They're Eternals, husband and wife, but not outside. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we can circle back to Sprite and her, and that love triangle between her and Icarus, and but it's like, you know, obviously they're not going to depict anything like that on screen, but isn't it also messed up that Eternals are dating people 3,000 years younger than them?
It's the old ass vampire problem. I've talked about this, where it's like, I wonder, because it's always the dude vampires that like date like these high school girls, and you know the lady vampires are just like, well, there he goes again, dating another 15-year-old, you know? So I would imagine that, yeah, if you're an Eternal, I guess at a certain point you just have to be like, look, like there's nothing else for us to do, and we got to get our 3 pumps in, so you got to like date someone. But
the real moral quandary would be.
It doesn't bother me when it's like, you know, Dane Whitman's a grown man. I don't think it's, you know, it's like a 40-year-old dating a 55-year-old.
But you got to figure that there's levels to grown when you reach year 1000. That like,
honestly, I bet after like year 50, it's like, I've seen it. I get it. How much more is there to get? But I will say the Sprite thing at the end, very weird. Like she's gonna go to what, junior high and get to know children? Like no, adults only. She does like take a few years, age up to being an adult, and now you can. She doesn't need to go to school. She's been alive for 7,000
Also,
years.
she can shapeshift. She can do everything up until like the physical, up until the 3 pumps. She can turn into any. She's 3,000 years old. Can take the form of anyone.
Sending her to middle school is like, what's she going to learn? History? She was there. What does she need to learn?
It's going to be the annoying kid in class who corrects the professor.
Yeah, like, now we're going to read Jane Austen. Oh, I know Jane. There's nothing left for her to learn.
Yeah, that was me. That was my
magically
friend.
age her up to like 19 and send her on her way.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
Can you believe that's all we get? Look what Kingo did for this film. And you don't even pop his shirt off? You gotta reward that effort. Eternals 2, The Search for Kingo's Dingo. Let's make it happen. So if your idea of fun is watching 10 people debate the trolley problem for 2.5 hours, where the closest thing to a relatable character is an immortal movie star's human pet,
He's worked with me for 50 years.
fly, don't walk to your nearest couch for the film that puts the universe in MCU, that despite the reviews is far from the worst in the franchise.
Are you well, Eric?
I can't get too excited. Not even a little excited.
Tony, how do you go to the bathroom in a suit?
So pause.
Just like that.
Why do we think that this was the most poorly reviewed Marvel movie? Because I stand by that this was like definitely not the worst. It's in the lower half for me, but by no means is it the absolute worst Marvel movie release. But why do we think that it got the critical reception that it did?
I do think part of it is like Juan said, like because it is so different and people go in with a certain expectation. Like Marvel movies are roller coasters, like they're rides, and like that's a lot of what you go into it looking for. And this wasn't like, this isn't a quip fest. It is thinky. It is very, very talky. And so I think that that's part of it. And I do think we got to take the lockdown of it all, because wasn't this like the first one where this one or Shang-Chi was the first one where it was like you have to see this in theaters, like we're not doing this, the dual.
I believe that was Shang-Chi
or not. Yeah,
I think
Shang-Chi
that
was first.
Shang-Chi was the first one where you had to go to theaters, and then it was like a month later on, I think.
I imagine that would have improved the experience though, seeing this in theaters.
Right? I definitely, yeah. But I just don't think a lot of people did that. Yeah. This was not necessarily one where, because like with Shang-Chi, it's like this new character and this new world. And obviously, like anytime that you make something for people of color, we're like, yes, thank you. We will go do this so that you will continue doing this for us. And luckily, Shang-Chi also wound up being really, really, really good. And I think with this, I just don't think, I mean, it's Marvel. It did fine. People were going, but this wasn't like a Spider-Man where it was like, you have to be there day one,
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's obviously, when you see a Marvel movie these days, there's a certain set expectation that you have for the tone, at least, that I think this deviated from. But I think that it's also just like, you're on top for a little too long. People are just like looking for an excuse to kind of bring you down. And also like people genuinely do get tired of things after a while. And when they don't do as good a job of giving you that thing again, it's a perfect opportunity to unleash all the frustrations you've had about these movies in the past on this one.
I mean, it's a big swing, this movie. I think it's not going to work for everybody. It's a big departure from what they've done. And I think that makes it a lightning rod for criticism and attention. And I think that the fact that it's a director who's coming off of an Oscar-winning breakthrough film puts a lot of extra sort of attention on it that maybe some other movies from less notable international filmmakers wouldn't. So I felt like, this had a different kind of focus than other, like a Black Widow or something, and I think that brought a little bit of extra scrutiny and probably the knives out a little bit. I also think among fans, we know that, and I don't mean this in a pejorative, like in a negative way, like don't take it that way, but we know that fans love references and stuff that plays very heavily into being a Marvel movie and part of this ongoing world. And I mean, obviously we saw it with Spider-Man. That's what so much of the hype about Doctor Strange is. People love when they find interesting ways to like fold these stories together. And this one is almost purposefully, other than the post-credit sequences, kind of taking itself out of that equation. And like, what if we were on this totally different scale from all these other stories? And it wouldn't even make sense to reference like the ground level stuff that's happening when you're talking about, 1,000-year-old gods or whatever. So I thought that obviously blunts the impact on some level too, that there aren't a million little fun connections to every other Marvel movie.
Do you think it would have been helped if, when Arishem appears over the horizon, that you just see Hawkeye like notching an arrow and like aiming it at him, like just in case?
I mean, I think stuff like that, little Easter eggs and stuff probably would have, for a lot of fans, made this more enjoyable.
get Arsham one of those blank caps so that he can just like be in the universe and no one knows who he is. Get him that like blank.
Yeah, the unbranded black baseball cap.
Just the Eternals in ancient Egypt fighting Oscar Isaac as Apocalypse. Come on.
There you go. I want him to step out of the multiverse. Just, go learning.
Big ugly blue suit that he can't stand to wear. Physically painful.
Oh, if that's somehow one of Moon Knight's personalities, that will just totally recontextualize X-Men Apocalypse. Okay, let's finish watching.
They just tried to do something a little different this time. But don't worry, Marvel will never make that mistake again. Phew! Starring Cersei Roman, Stark Kent. This wasn't in the script. Angelina Jolie genuinely doesn't know how a toaster works. Selma Hayek.
The fling in the north!
The Big Dick, Silicon Valet, Sprite Ginger Zero Sugar, Shaper Boy, Dev Schlepper, Druid Tux, Bury Me With My Golden Arm, Clifford the Big Red God, Gotta Catch 'Em All, Rope 'Em On. All right, you're in this movie too. Patton.
Oh yeah, that thing.
And Harry Styles. Eternal runtime of the plotless grind.
I don't know.
Why is Sprite going to school? She's thousands of years old, not trying to meet kids her own age. What's she going to learn in 7th grade? Okay, maybe Spanish.
Somos amigos de la universidad.
You probably invented Spanish.
Yeah, there's no excuse to that. Come on. Spend another 500 years in Mesoamerica, please.
Yeah, we have Duolingo now. Like you can.
Yeah,
maybe that's what she was doing on her cell phone at the very end. Oh man. All right, we had some other stuff that I want to bring up, but I think we did some deleted scenes about them. So let's watch those real quick.
Fastos, who does all his science by way of Minority Report hand gestures. Druig, Barry Keoghan's latest twisted little Kree, who forces humans to do his bidding.
Just wanted to put that clip in an Australia.
Makari, who in true speedster fashion could end the movie in 30 seconds, so they just keep her hidden until the 3rd act. Sprite, who's become jaded by the decline in quantity and quality of pedophiles over the course of human history.
Now I want to know what it feels like to grow up, to fall in love.
Starring Gemma and the Holograms, Dance Revolutionary, Vision Board, the boy who flew too close to the sun, like way too close. Theme Titans, Maleficence and Sensibility, Mad Weary of this movie, Mad Eye Weary, Getting Hayek AF, From Husk Till Dawn, Ajax of the Show, Brokejack Mountain, Black Knight's Watch, Kingo and Kingo was his name, Inhuman Growth Hormone, Once Upon a Time in Bollywood, Young Adult, Not a Girl, Not Yet a Human, The Fast and the Curious, Speed Spacer, Flash of the Titans, The Man with the Golden Guns, Judge Red, and Popstar Fox, Never Stop Planet Hopping. The Just Us League. The Gods Must Be Lazy.
I like that one.
Apocalypse Vow.
So the thing that didn't make it in that I realized far too late is that the Eternals sync up almost perfectly with the characters from the film Encanto.
Yes.
And it probably would have gotten flagged if we had done the parody song.
We'd have to like tweak the notes a bunch.
Yeah, a bunch.
So it doesn't sound exactly the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, you wrote a whole family madrigal parody.
I wrote a whole family madrigal parody that, I don't feel like singing right now. I thought I was going to sing it, but I'm actually not going to.
Okay.
I'll post it. I'll post it somewhere.
But it does. We discovered that not only does that match up, but also the Ninja Turtles also have turtle counterparts.
Well, we were debating. Well, Fastos obviously does machines.
Yeah. Cersei leads. And Fastos does machines.
Yeah.
And then we were very
Kingo's the party dude.
Kingo is the party dude.
And is Thena cool but crude, or is Druig cool but crude?
I think it's Druig is cool but rude. You were saying Thena's cool but rude.
Yeah. And Ajax is Splinter. Selma Hayek is Splinter.
Yeah, I think Selma Hayek is Splinter. I can picture her being like, I made a funny and then laughing at herself.
Yeah.
Like, that feels like Selma Hayek.
Also,
Now,
wow, I forgot how many Druid sucks jokes we got in there.
Well, the rule of threes. We got 3 in there. Is a Sprite or Makari Casey Jones?
No, well, I think Dane Whitman would be Casey Jones in this.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, and the cameraman.
April O'Neil.
That's April O'Neil. Is Fastos then? Do we need to open up some more room? Is he Baxter?
No, he's Donatello.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Then who's Arishem? Is he Krang?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I think so.
All right. Cool.
Right.
All right. Well, that was fun. Let's go to some user comments.
I can do this all day. Bebop, Rocksteady, let's go.
I'm presuming we'll meet. Oh, Blade is Shredder, probably.
Blade is definitely Shredder. Let's see. Jeffrey Elverton asked, should they have tried to introduce the characters over several movies or series before doing a team up? I don't think they were going to give them the runway for that. It was all or nothing. Yeah. I think they could have.
I think that's like best case scenario. If this did No Way Home numbers, you could splinter off and do. I mean, obviously they're thinking about Dane Whitman, Black Knight stuff, but you could maybe come up with can we put Cersei in something else, or can we do something else with Druig or whatever? But
I don't think that they make enough changes from the comics that I don't think anyone would have been mad if they halved the Eternals. If this was about 5 or 6 Eternals instead of 10.
Well, you could always, and then you add more in sequels anyway. I mean, the end of this movie is they're going to go out to space and look for more Eternals anyway.
I think that I would have snapped half the Eternals, and that's probably my one big fix in this movie. It gets a lot better. Let's see. James Bunt asked, what other obscure Jack Kirby creation do you want to spend $200 million on? Is it Devil Dinosaur? Yes. Yes, it is. Did he?
They were gonna
right? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I think so. Well, they were gonna do New Gods, and then no Gods now.
Right.
Oh, it's a cat. Yeah, they were gonna do New Gods, and then no.
Yeah, he did Commandy for a while, which would be really cool. Which is like, it's a post-apocalyptic future, but there's like manimals. It's populated by like intelligent, sentient animals who like walk around on, and Commandy is like a cave boy in the future. That would be be very cool. I would be into that.
No three pumps in that movie.
No.
Or very disturbing.
I want to see. I know it's not Jack Kirby, but I want to see Mojo and the Mojo verse.
Yes.
We got a little tease in Deadpool 2, but almost treated as a gag.
Yeah,
Spiral's gonna look so cool.
Yeah. All right.
Plus X-Men babies.
Yeah, it'll happen on a long enough timeline. It'll all happen. Yeah. Let's see. Adam Hulbert asks, are you more excited for Chloe Zhao's Dracula Western or a follow-up to the Eternals? What would you like to see her do next? Or do you want to see her go back to making the prestige Oscar films, or a Dracula Western, or Eternals 2?
I think that Dracula Western sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm definitely into.
I'm unfamiliar with this. Could you tell me more?
I mean, I think that's most of what we know.
That's it.
I mean, I'll see if there's any other details I can find, but
pretty high concept. I think that's about.
Yeah. She's saying a sci-fi Western based on the most famous vampire of all, Dracula. But we don't have an original futuristic sci-fi Western with the themes of being on society's fringes.
Dracula is often on the fringe of society.
I think that's all we've got so far. So, but sort of like a nomad land, but if she was Dracula.
Okay, let's see. Oh, we didn't talk about Fastos being there for the atomic bomb. I think Arthur Mingo had a question about that. But I think that just what do you think about that moment?
That's so weird.
It was so weird, right?
What a weird choice for him to be like, I did this. And it's like
Well, he's not saying I did it like he pulled the lever to drop the bomb. But
I like nudged them in the direction
for inspiring human, technological evolution. And it's always weird when these big tentpole Hollywood studio popcorn movies try to do that, like integrate real dark moments in history, like the Harry Potter series or the Fantastic Beasts series doing it as well, where Grindelwald suddenly like but World War II, we can prevent it. It's like, I don't know if I need to be.
Yeah,
it doesn't work the way they want it to. Investing their world in reality, it just feels like kind of.
It's just to stick to. I don't know. It reminds me of, or not reminds me of, but it's like, because people are old enough to have lived through the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Like when I'm in my 80s or 90s and I go see a Marvel movie and Fastos is there in like 9/11, like what have I done? It's just not gonna.
Well, we're not that far. I'm not gonna spoil the ending. I just watched a TV series that ends with a reveal that a character has gone back in time by using the World Trade Center, and it's like,
was it Mark Wahlberg?
That's also a little weird. No, it's just like they see that the World Trade Center is still standing. It's like, I'm not in my own universe, and it's like, oh, it's weird.
Gotcha. Anyways,
I think Fringe did that as well. Fringe also did it's an alternate reality. Look, the towers are still standing. It's like, you could come
right.
There's another flying cars. That's what we don't have.
Got to experiment until you find the line, but I found that Fastos in the smoking ruins of Hiroshima, when there's probably like still people dying there, and they see Fastos be like in a boat dressed like Bill Nye the Science Guy, going, "What have I done?" Like it's
just like go 100 years earlier, like set it in a time where none of us ever knew anybody who was alive for that horrible thing.
Again, I think if this was all taking place in like Babylonian myth times and then like up through Athens and then like maybe the Middle Ages, this would have been.
It was just like him looking out over like the Battle of Antietam or something.
Yeah.
That's old enough where it's like Civil War. Fine, that's fine.
I never should have invented the trebuchet.
Right, yeah, like cannons. What was I thinking?
All right, good times. This was more fun than the Eternals, I'd wager.
Oh, how dare you.
But we'll be back. I gave you a clue already up front that it was grunty, and I'd say this next one doubles down on that. So we'll be back next week for more Honest Trailers commentaries. Thank you for watching. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.